Hello, my name is Lewis and welcome to Gathering the Magic. Today we're looking at a $35 budget Tornos the Toymaker. From Brothers War, Tornos says whenever you cast a beast or bird, you may copy it, except it is an artifact in addition to its other types. This deck is all about playing every beast and bird you can find, doubling down on that soon-to-be wide army and stomping our opponents down into the ground for the win. Now, let's learn all about the birds and the beasts.
Excuse me?
As always, we're starting this budget brew hot with all of that ramp. First off with Mana Dorks in Findhorn and Llanowar Elves that both tap for a forest. We have one more 1-drop elf in Elvish Mystic to also tap for a forest. And Harrow that after sacking a land to cast, you search your library for 2 basic lands, putting them onto the field tapped. There's Cultivate and Kodama's Reach to both search your library for 2 basic lands, putting one in your hand and the other onto the field tapped. We have Rampant Growth to search for a basic land, putting it onto the field tapped. And Wild Growth to enchant land. When that land is tapped for mana, its controller adds a forest to their mana pool. We have Explore and Growth Spiral to both draw us a card and play an additional land for the turn. There's Commander Sphere to add 1 mana of either Simic colours. You can also sack the sphere to draw a card. And Wayfarer's Bauble to pay and sack to search your library for a basic land, putting it onto the field tapped. We have Simic Signet to pay, tap and get both of those Simic colours. And finally, we have Sol Ring, because Sol Ring. Before we get onto those beastie boys, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe down below for all things MTG. Subscribing is completely free to do, and it helps our channel grow and grow as we head towards 3,000 subscribers. Another way to help support the channel is to use our referral code gathering-the-magic when signing up to Card Market. Shout out to Marco220400 for using our code. You love to see it. Now we're looking at all of those beasts that Tornos will love to copy. First up is Arborback Stomper with Trample, and when ETBs you gain 5 life. And Cryptic Annelid, that when ETBs you scry 1, scry 2 and then scry 3. We have Hydroid Krasis, this is when you cast a spell, you gain half X life and draw half X cards, rounding down each time. It has Flying, Trample and ETBs with X/1/1 counters on it. And Nessian Game Warden, that when ETBs look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of forests you control. You may reveal a creature from them, putting it into your hand. There's Manglehorn the ETBs destroying target artifact, artifacts your opponent control ETB tapped. And Ridgescale Tusker, the ETBs putting a 1/1 counter on each other creature you control. When you're casting all of these beasts with Tornos on the field, not only are you getting an extra copy, but with all these beasts, that means another ETB trigger and double the destruction. We have Fangren Firstborn, that when attacks puts a 1/1 counter on each attacking creature. And Blossoming Bogbeast, that when attacks you gain 2 life. Then creatures you control gain Trample and +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you've gained this turn. We've added Caller of the Pack with Trample and Myriad, and Siege Behemoth with Hexproof, and as long as it's attacking, for each creature you control, you may have that creature assign its combat damage as though it wasn't blocked. There's Flying Trigon Predator, this says when it deals combat damage to a player, you may destroy target artifact and enchantment that player controls. And Krosan Warchief, this is beast spells you cast cost 1 less to cast, and you can pay to regenerate target beast. With some of these big damage triggers, just imagine if we had 2 of them going off. Pure evil of the best variety. There's Thunderfoot Baloth with Trample, and as long as you control your commander, Thunderfoot gets +2/+2, and other creatures you control get +2/+2 and have Trample. And Green Staple Rampaging Baloths with Trample, and whenever a land ETBs under your control, create a 4/4 beast creature token. We have Leatherback Baloth, a cheap to cast but powerful 4/5 beast, and Ulvenwald Oddity, with Trample, Haste and can transform into the Behemoth that gives other creatures you control +1/+1 Trample and Haste. On to the final 5, there's Uncounterable Terror Stomper with Trample, and Sagu Mauler with Trample, Hexproof and Morph. There's Thragtus the ETBs gaining us 5 life, when it leaves the field create a 3/3 beast creature token. And Garruk's Pack Leader, this is whenever another creature with power 3 or greater ETBs under your control, draw a card. Lastly, sticking to that beastly theme, there's Garruk Primal Hunter, to most importantly +1 and create a 3/3 beast creature token. We can also -3 to draw cards equal to the greatest power amongst creatures you control. These aren't the only beasts we have, there is also a multitude of mutating monsters. First is Auspicious Starix, that when mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanents, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. And our first bird in the deck, Dreamtail Heron, that draws a card whenever it mutates. There's Gemrazor with Reach Trample, and when it mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls, and Migratory Greathorn, that when mutates, search your library for a basic land, putting it onto the field tapped. Similar to the tactic we deployed in our IV budget brew, having a variety of beast and birds that mutate will create another copy of the mutated beast or bird and then create a variety of double down triggers. We have Parcel Beast to pay and tap and look at the top card of your library. If it's a land, you may put it onto the field. If you don't put it on the field, put it into your hand. And Pouncing Shore Shark, that when mutates you may return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. For the last two mutating monsters, there's Sawtusk Demolisher, that when mutates destroy target non-creature permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 beast token. And Trumpeting Gnar, that when mutates create a 3/3 beast token. We've seen the beasts, now let's take a look at the other creatures in this deck. First are some changelings in Bloodline Pretender who ETBs choosing a creature type. Whenever another creature of the chosen type ETBs under your control, put a 1/1 counter on the Pretender. And Realm Walker, also ETBing choosing a creature type. You can look at the top card of your library anytime and cast spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. There's Owlbear with Trample, the ETBs drawing us a card. And Raven Familiar with Flying Echo, and when it ETBs, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For a deck revolved around the birds and the beasts, we had to throw some birds in there. Plus, having changelings, they play into any creature type, so it's a double win for Tornos. We have Wirewood Savage, this is whenever a beast ETBs, draw a card, and Beast Whisperer, this is whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Finally, we have Arbor Elf, to have that option to untap a target forest. Before we finish on up with those lands, we're looking at the best of the rest in this budget brew. First on up we have Azorius Predation, this is for each creature your opponents control, create a 4/4 Phyrexian Beast creature token. Each of those tokens fights a different one of those creatures, and beasts within for some removal. Neither are going to directly synergise with Tornos, but it is a beastly deck, so we had to add them in. We have Barrier Breach to exile up to 3 target enchantments, and Hunter's Insight, this says choose target creature you control. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker this turn, draw that many cards. Onto the counter spells, we have Decisive Denial to make 2 creatures fight or counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 3, and Negate to counter target non-creature spell. We also have Rewind to counter target spell, untapping up to 4 lands, and Unwind to counter target non-creature spell, untapping up to 3 lands. Onto the card draw we have Momentous Fall, first sacking a creature to do so. You draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, then you gain life equal to its toughness. And a classic in Return of the Wildspeaker, to boost your non-human creatures or draw cards equal to the greatest power amongst non-human creatures you control. There's Full Flowering to populate X times, and Druid's Deliverance to prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to you this turn, again also populating. Finally we have Shamanic Revelation to draw a card for each creature you control, with that ferocious ability to gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. As we always do, we're rounding off this budget brew with all of those lands. Starting off with the basics, we have 20 basic forest and 10 basic island, as this deck does run very forest heavy. There's Command Tower to add either of those Simic colours, and Exotic Orchard to add 1 mana of any colour a land an opponent controls could produce. We have Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse to both tap, sack and search your library for a basic land, putting it onto the field tapped. Finally, we have Thornwood Falls, entering tapped but gaining you 1 life, and Temple of Mastery that also enters tapped but allows you to scry 1. Tornos is a really exciting new commander, and as a fan of things Simic and copying, this is one that I imagine could become one of the most played commanders from Brothers War. Are there any Brothers War commanders you'd like to see us budget build? Let us know in the comments below. There we have it, that is the $35 budget Tornos deck tech. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe down below for all things MTG. Check out our link tree in the description below for all of our social media and affiliate links. For now though, I'm all tapped out, so I'll see you in the next video.